Jai Shri Ram everyone, welcome back to my channel English with Desi Madam. My name is Rita and how are you doing guys? I hope you all guys are doing absolutely fine. So friends, in today's video I am going to share with you some tips, tricks, methods. All the tips, tricks, methods are going to help you to start thinking English. Yes, this is a very common problem that faced by every English learner. Ma'am, how to start thinking English? Because English is a different language. English is not our native language. So how to start thinking English? So in today's video, I'm going to give you some 4 stages. Okay? And all the stages are going to help you to start think in English. By following 4 simple stages, you can train your brain to think directly in English. And trust me, this will make a huge difference in how you speak. Okay? So before we start, don't forget to subscribe to Simple English with Desi Madam channel if you haven't already. Okay? So this way you would not miss any of our lessons that will help you on your journey, English speaking journey. Okay? So now let's get into today's lesson. How to think in English. Okay? So first stage, think in verbs. The power of action verbs. The first stage of learning to think in English is to focus on verbs. Verbs are the action verbs in a sentences. They describe what's happening. Why do we start with verbs? Because action is all around us. And we can think about what's happening in English. We can start forming sentences in English. Heads in our quickly. Okay. So let's take an example. Imagine you are walking through Jhansi city, specifically in a road. You see people all everywhere, all engaged in different activities. What are they doing? Some people are running, some people are walking, others are talking. You see a dog chasing a wall and someone is feeding pigeon. These actions are described using verbs. Run, talk, chase, feed. By observing the actions around you, you can start thinking about them in English. This process of observing and identifying actions is something that you can do anywhere. Whether you are standing at a bus stop or waiting in a traffic light or sitting in a cafe, there are always actions happening around you. Okay? Now, for example, on a busy street in Jhansi, you might see people walking quickly, someone riding by a bicycle, or a group of friends laughing. Okay, you can mentally note these actions in English. Walk, ride, laugh. Okay, so what if you are in a home where is not much happening? You can still practice thinking in verbs by imagining scenarios or using pictures. For example, look at the photo of a family picnic. What action do you see? Maybe they are eating, playing, or relaxing, playing badminton. Even when you are indoors, you can practice identifying actions by thinking about what you are seeing. Do in a different situation. Imagine you are in a kitchen. You might be cooking, cleaning, washing dishes, cleaning your platform. Okay. Second stage, let's aside 5 to 10 minutes every day. Practice thinking in verbs. Pick a different places each day or focus on the actions happening around you. As you do this regularly, you will train your brain to think about actions in English, making it easier to describe what's happening in the moment. Okay. Stage 2, think in nouns, naming the word around you. Once you practiced thinking in verbs, it's time to move on to noun. Nouns are words that names people, places, and things or ideas, emotions. Just like verbs, nouns are everywhere. Everything around you has a name. And if you can think of these names in English, you will be one step closer to speaking fluently. Let's take an example from a different city. Imagine you are in Lucknow, okay, and standing by the famous park, okay. As you look around, you see the building, the and many tourists taking photos. You also see a boat in the water, a few seagulls flying above. Each of these things is a noun. It's important to practice thinking in nouns wherever you are. Wherever you are living. If you are in a market in Delhi, in India, you might see fruits, vegetables, spices, and vendors. These are all arounds, all nouns that describe the objects that people around you. Even if you are just sitting in a room, just like me, you can look around you and identify some object's name in English. For example, you might see a table, a chair, a couch, a sofa, a mobile phone, a light, a fan, everything. Okay, just see all the things in English and think English name. Okay. Okay. Oh, now let's move on. Another great way to practice thinking in nouns is to describe what you are carrying with you. What's in your bag? Maybe you have a phone, some keys, and a wallet. Okay. If you practice naming these objects in English, it will soon become second nature. Okay. Over time, this will help you think faster and more clearly in English. Keep practice tip. Spend a few minutes each day naming the objects around you in English, whether you are outside, whether you are inside at home, or even traveling. Challenge yourself to tell and yourself to think in English, all the objects name in English. For example, if you are visiting any city, look around and name things like buildings, bicycles, cafes, and tourists, temple. The more you practice this, the more your brain will automatically think in English. Stage 3. Think in sentences, connecting verbs or nouns. Once you are comfortable thinking in verbs and nouns, it's time to move on the next step. Thinking in sentences. This is where you start putting verbs and nouns together to describe what's happening around you in full sentences. At this stage, it's important to start simple. Don't worry about making long, complicated sentences. Just focus on creating short, clear sentences, easy sentences that describe what you see. For example, if you are in Cape Town, South Africa, looking at the table mountain, you might say, the tourists are climbing the mountain. The sun is shining. The wind is blowing. These are simple, but they allow you to practice thinking in complete sentences. Okay. Now, let's imagine you are in Toronto, Canada, sitting in a park. Okay. What's happening around you? You could describe the scene like this. A family is having a picnic. The children are playing football. The birds are flying in the sky. Okay. These sentences are short, but they effectively describe what's happening around you. As you become more comfortable, you can start making your sentences longer. For example, If you are in Berlin, okay, Germany, walking near the Bendering Gate, you might say a group of tourists is taking pictures of the monuments. Some of them are listening to their tour guide, while others are checking their maps. These sentences combine multiple verbs and nouns, giving a fuller description of the scene. The goal here is to get used to think in sentences instead of just words. This will help you when you are speaking, as you would not have to stop and think about each individual word. Your brain will automatically form sentences in English. Okay, so start practice every day. Every day take 10 or 15 minutes to describe your surroundings in English, okay, in a sentences. Whether you are at home or office or walking through in a new city, try to from sentences, make a sentences in your head to describe what's happening. If you are in a cafe in Rome, Italy, you might say the waiter is serving coffee. Okay, two friends are chatting with next table. A couple is reading a menu. This practice will make you think in English much more natural. Okay, so in this way you can easily make little sentences in English, and all the sentences are going to help you when you start speak in English. So these practice will make thinking in English more natural. Stage 4, think in paragraph, bringing it all together. Okay, the final stage is to move from thinking a sentence in sentences in thinking in a paragraph. This means describing everything around you in more details, telling a full story, or creating. Think any scenario in your mind and try to write down on a notebook in a paragraph in English. Here's how you might describe in a paragraph. Okay, I'm standing on the Great Wall in China. The view is incredible. The mountains stretch out as far as I can see, and the wall bends its way across the landscape. There are tourists all around me taking pictures and walking along the wall. I can hear people speaking in different languages, and there is a cool breeze blowing through the air. The steps are steep and the stone is worn from centuries to use. In this paragraph, you have combined everything: verbs, walking, speaking, nouns, tourist, mountains, wall, and sentences to create a full description of the scene. By practice this, you will start thinking in English more naturally, as you would not just be forming short sentences, you will be able to describe things in full detail. Okay, so in this way you can easily make some paragraph in English. Let's take another example. Imagine you are walking through a market. Okay, you might describe the scene like this. The market is filled with people, all busy shopping or bargaining with vendors. I can smell the spices in the air, and bright colors of the rugs and textile catch my eye. A man is selling tea from a cart, and groups of tourists are taking photos. The sounds of people talking and laughing fills the air, and the atmosphere is lively and energetic. When you practice thinking in paragraphs like this, you are training your brain to describe events and scenes in full details. This stage is essential because it helps you not only think in English, but also you have to describe your emotions, your ideas in words. By focusing on forming paragraphs, you can talk more naturally and at length, which is key when you are aiming for fluency. Let's take one more example to practice. Okay? Imagine you are sitting in a cozy cafe in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Imagine yourself. Here's how you might describe the scene in a paragraph. I'm sitting in a small table by the window, sipping my car. The cafe is warm and inviting with soft music playing in the background. Outside, I can see some people riding their bicycle along the canal. The sky is cloudy and it looks like it might rain. Inside, a few people are reading books, and a couple of is chatting quietly over their breakfast. The smell of freshly baked bread fills the air, and the atmosphere is calm and peaceful. In this paragraph, you have combined all the elements, verbs, nouns, and sentences to create a vivid picture of the scene. Okay? This is the final stage of thinking in English, where you can describe situations in detail, just as you would in your native language. Okay? Take a few minutes to describe your day in paragraph. Start from the moment you woke up and think about everything that happened. What did you do? Where did you go? Who did you meet? Try to describe to all in English. For example, today was a busy day. I woke up early in the morning and went for a walk in the park, and the weather was nice, and I saw a lot of people exercising there. After that, I had breakfast at a small cafe. I ordered pizza, and later I went to work and had a meeting with my friend. We discussed our new projects, and everyone had great ideas. In the evening, I met a friend for dinner at a restaurant. We had a great time catching up and talking about our week. This type of daily practice will not only help you think in English but also improve your ability to recall and describe events in detail. Okay? So let's do practice each and every day. Start thinking English with yourself. Try to make some little story, your everyday work. Okay? And yes, in this way you can easily make fluent in English. Putting it all together, achieving fluency through practice. By now, you should have a clear understanding of the 4 stages of thinking in English. Think in verbs, focus on action words, and describe what is happening around you. This is first step. Now, think in nouns. Name the people, places, things you see in your surroundings. This is second step. Think in sentences. Combine verbs and nouns to form short, simple sentences. This is third step. Okay? Think in paragraphs. Bring everything together to create detailed descriptions of scenes and events. Each of these stages build on the previous one, helping you develop the ability to think directly in English without the need of translation. So yes, there are 4 steps. It's important to practice each stage regularly, as this will train your brain to process information in English more naturally. Why thinking in English is essential for fluency? Okay. Now that you understand the stages, let's talk about why this method works. When you first start learning English, you likely translate from your native language. This is natural, but it creates a delay in your speaking. Okay? Instead of speaking smoothly, you have to pause and think about what to say, which can make you feel less confident. By practicing thinking in English, you eliminate that translation, is making your speech more natural. When you can think in English, you will also find it easier to have conversation, express your ideas, and respond quickly in discussion. For example, imagine you are at a job interview in London and the interviews asks you to describe a challenging situation you faced at work. If you are thinking in your native language, you might need a moment to translate your thoughts into English. But if you trained yourself to think in English, you can respond immediately and confidently without hesitation. So the same goes for everyday conversations. Whether you are chatting with friends and giving a presentation, okay, or even ordering food at a restaurant, being able to think in English will make the process much or even smoother. Okay, so practical exercises to help you to think in English. Okay, so now you have learned the 4 stages. Here are some practical exercise you can do to improve your ability to think in English. First thing is that daily observation. Spend 10 or 15 minutes each day observing in English. Whether you are in the bus, at the park, walking through your neighborhood, challenge yourself to describe everything you see using verbs, nouns, and sentences. This is the first thing, practice. Second, picture description, picture visualization. Find a photo from a magazine, website, or your own photo album. Look at the picture very clearly and describe everything you see in English. For example, if you are looking at a picture of a beach, you could say the sand is white and the water is crystal clear. There are few people swimming and some children are building a sand castle. In the distance, I can see a boat sailing on the horizon. Okay, write a journal. At the end of the each day, write a short journal. Okay, start by describing what you did that day, where you went, and who you met. As you practice, try to include more details in your descriptions. Okay, talk to yourself. Okay, if you don't have anyone to practice speaking English, don't worry, talk to yourself. Use different methods like mirror technique, like shadowing technique, like record your video. Okay, for example, you could describe your favorite movie, explain how to make your favorite dish, or talk about your plans for weekend. Okay, 5, set language challenges. Okay, challenge yourself to think in English for short periods throughout the day. For example, set a timer for 5 minutes and commit a thinking only in English during that time. Okay? Gradually increase the time as you become more comfortable. So, I hope you like my video. If you did so please give it a like to share with your friends and family, and let me know in the comment box how did you like my video, because I love to read your comments. So friends, we will see you in the next video. Till then, Jai Siya Ram.